Hello! Today I wanted to talk about micro RC planes, and I believe the community has been misled for years believing these planes fly bad. Most of these micro RC planes you'll never see at your local field, as most of them have been out of production for quite some years now. The P3 Revolution and Yak were the latest models they released, both with 3000 kV motors, and the Sbach and the Beast came with 2500 kV motors. I've upgraded both the Sbach and the Beast to have 3000 kV motors as well. So all of these planes have extremely similar power systems. Weight varies, but the difference between the monowing and the biplanes are quite interesting. The biplanes track pretty darn straight and they have a wide flight envelope, but they're also slower just because the second wing adds a ton of drag. The Sbach can actually go quite fast with a 50-43 prop. The Yak has the stock prop on it. The P3 has the stock prop, but the Sbach and the Beast have 50-43 props on them. So we have much more wind than I'd like today, but that's a great test for these micros. These are some of the most capable aircraft I own, and as much as a big aircraft is easier to see, I do not fly my bigger aircraft anywhere near at all compared to my micros. If I only had big RC planes, I'd be flying way less often. And that's why I love UMXs. You fly more often. So, just doing a quick show about, get a quick look at them. I'll be flying them from this order, from back to front. So the Yak, Sbach, P3, then the Beast. I currently like the Beast the most. It's a biplane that, if you buy one not damaged, weighs less than 60 grams without a battery. That is the lightest plane here, and it has two wings. It can fly slow or fast. It's extremely fun. So check out the cone. You can see that's about 10 mile per hour wind if I'm not mistaken, but it's kind of steady, so it's not so bad. So not so much self flying today, just showcasing the last ultra micros that Horizon Hobby made, that they stopped making due to lack of sales and popularity. I truly wish people gave micros a chance. And I love how you can store so many of them. I keep them on a shoe rack and I could store like 12 of them on a dresser. Try doing that with a 1.2 meter. You need a whole trailer. So, let's get started with the Yak. Everything here is mostly trimmed, but we'll see. I'll get the camera on my head and let's get started. Okay, I've got the camera on my head, getting the Yak ready. All flying these on my TX16, AS3X only. I don't think any of these even come with safe. Okay, I've got the camera on my head and the Yak ready now. I fly these all on 4-minute timers. Check out the control throw. So let's get flying. 4-minute comparisons of each plane really quickly. You can see we have some good amount of wind. It's gonna go a lot faster now when you're going with the wind. Haven't went full throttle yet. Let's try knife edge. It's no side force generators. Can climb in the knife edge and knife edge the other way, but you really need tons of speed or side force generators for better performance. Doing a loop and then see how it hovers even if it has some wind. Trying not to go too high. It's certainly harder in wind. Check out high speed passes kinda. And now some roll rate. Try not to get lost in that. And now touch and go. With the wind, I should be able to go fairly slow. Just don't stall it, is the big thing with the yak. Oh, highly maneuverable even in wind. A lot of people with bigger planes cannot even land like that yet because they don't practice, at least here at my local field. So pretty fun setup. I can't tell if it's trimmed perfectly. I don't want to do too much trimming with the wind, but I'm gonna try to come in. Oof, well, it is windy, but you can see it's quite a fun plane. Try to do a snap with it, and oh, I couldn't do it. I tried to do an inverted flat spin and I had trouble doing it. There we go. Not the cleanest. So that's an idea of how the yak flies. I haven't flown it a ton because it's not my favorite. The Beast is absolutely my favorite currently. And that's why I'm saving it for last. So I'm gonna land this and go to the Sbach, which is a little bit more interesting because it's very fast. Nice soft landing. And check out how far it is from the other planes. Not very far at all. Proper landing. Now the Sbach. Okay, I've got the UMX Sbach ready. Check out the control surfaces. Should do a little bit better in the wind with the 50-43 prop. It has a lot more pull. Don't want to disappear too fast. That's even into the wind, it's going quick. Now this is with it. Very quick, all things considered. Screaming with the 50-43. Flat spin's way nicer. But I worked on this one a little bit and, you know, had more time with it. AS3X makes the wind look not as bad as it is, really. So those is pretty much both the monoplanes. You can see the elevators twitching a little. Maybe my servo's dirty, or just the high speed. It is very fast. So the monoplanes aren't my favorite just because they fly much faster. And if they're gonna fly fast with a single wing, I prefer a warbird for the sick dives and stuff like that. But the Sbach does look quite nice. So I'm gonna come in for a landing and just get straight to the P3 Revolution and the Beast. Gotta land with about 40% power on these. Quite taxiable. I mean, that's impressive taxiing for a micro. I love this. So now on to the P3 Revolution, which things are gonna start to get a lot more interesting. Okay, I've got the P3 Revolution ready. And let's see how a biplane can fly. My rudder's not trimmed because I just adjusted it, so let me adjust that just a tiny amount before I get too crazy. Just trimming her out. I did a lot of adjustments to this, so I'd like to make sure it's flying straight first. Now a high speed pass, see how she's trimmed. The wind kind of died down a little. Hover test. So I'm just doing some slow, this is like 60% passes, throttle passes. But now let me do some closer flying as it's trimmed better and the wind died down, thankfully. So nice slow roll right there. Well, slow speed roll. You have to have a lot of aileron to be able to roll like that. I could do more aileron throw on this, but I haven't had the P3 Revolution dialed in yet. So I'm leaning towards just making it as stable as possible first. Looks pretty good. Let's try knife edge. Knife edge as well. Do a touch and go. Oh, let me line it up right here. I think that'd be more interesting. Ooh. Well, I'm not the most skilled with my P3 yet. And I am saving the best for last. I could see I had a lot of left rudder. It's hard to tell what my trim is when the wind's like this. Not very stable, at least compared to what I'm about to show you, my absolute favorite. Let me do one touch and go on the runway, and then I'll land it and go for my beast. I'm doing a lot of touch and goes.
Timer 1 elapsed.
So I'll come in for a landing now. I'm much more used to my beast, so this is the true ultimate micro in my opinion that I've found. I have not found a better RC plane yet. Not too bad taxiing. So my last and most favorite plane. This one is going to be much better. And I actually have experience, so there's no excuses on this one. My absolute favorite ultra micro that I believe is slept on, and bigger planes can, it's so hard for bigger planes to even fly this nice, is the UMX Beast.
Receiver still connected. Receiver still connected.
Alright, I might have to trim my rudder, but let's see how this goes. Yeah, my rudder was a little whack.
Center. Trim center.
Okay, I think we're fairly trimmed out now. Don't worry, it's coming back. Just doing some low speed passes. Or low altitude. Do a knife edge check. Can hold knife edge for a long time and still has tons of rudder left over. Do a hover test. Oop. You could tell it's much more stable. Now some air show maneuvers. Oop, I lost so much speed. I'm bad. And I could do inverted flat spin with this one the nicest, so let me show you that before I have to land. It's mostly the smooth entry, if you could tell, that I'm proud of for this one. It's hard to show it up close. It's need to get pretty high to be safe. So my timer's going off now. So it's landed. I think the Beast is amazing as a 3D plane. Extremely capable. This is about 45% power right now. I'm gonna go around.
Timer 1 elapsed.
I think micros are absolutely slept on. The batteries, the transport, the storage, and the performance is much higher than what you might have thought. Oh. Just for funs. Well, I mentioned the turbo timber and the weather is good, so I want to actually show it for a second. So I'm flying it on a 400 mAh 7.4 volt battery, and the turbo timber is absolutely the do-it-all. Buy your first UMX. This is the one plane. It never goes on sale, and that's for a reason. It's high quality. They finally made all the control surfaces very stiff, and it works out pretty great. So just showing roughly where I put the battery in. I put it lower than normal and pretty far back. And you can do some awesome bush flying with this plane. I want to show it all on the TX16. So just letting the servos initialize. Might take a second with the wind. I gotta try again. That's the one thing about the turbo timber. As good as it is, I think this is the most least wind friendly one because the wing loading is too low. A higher wing loading would be better in this wind. So oops. So now we're gonna do some off-road ops. I want to show how capable this micro is. You truly do not need a big plane when you start thinking in the turbo timber or micro scrappy range. Those are the best ones I've heard of. The turbo timber, hands down, is the best plane if you want a micro bush plane. It will fly how you want it to, and it will land like how you want it to. So you can see for the off-road terrain, I'd say it's pretty well scaled for this plane, and it's just rolling right over it. I wanted to show that real quick before I get up in the air. So I'm gonna reset my timer because you have a pretty good flight time with the 400 mAh. You have about 6 minutes. Maybe I should have took off into the wind instead of against it. So I'm gonna turn off my flaps, make sure she's trimmed right because I've adjusted things. She's climbing. Coming for a low pass. See how she handles with no sticks. Definitely had too much right rudder trimmed in. So now with the wind, I'm bringing it in with takeoff flaps, which is half flaps. And we're about to do some slow passes in the dirt. Hopefully a touch and go. Too risky for me to try to really get it down right. There's tons of wind and I'm not confident it's trimmed correctly yet. But check out how slow it's flying. And like I said, the lower wing loading is worse in the wind, so it makes sense why this one's drifting big time when you get slow enough to start dropping. But that's with flaps as well, so it's going to be more affected with the wind. And that's not even full flaps yet right here. So I'm gonna come in closer to the runway. And I have full flaps now. And try to do as slow as possible. Touch on the ground. And then I'm gonna switch to no flaps and get some more high speed flying. Okay, no flaps. Very capable aircraft. Super floaty, and even in some wind on 2S, you could do this. It flies on 3S as well. Very floaty plane. No flaps, touch and go. Oop, just bounced off the ground. Let's see if I could touch on the ground. I knew that crack was too big to ride up for the bush plane right there. Let's try again. I have flaps, trying to come in hot. That's some bush flying plane right there. That's really fun. Like, look at how nice this Ultra Micro is flying. It's not perfect weather, but the wind died down, thankfully. It's like 7 mile/hour wind. And then, like, if you want to descent fast with the flaps, just flare up last second. It just 3-point lands so nicely. That's really nice. You know, I feel like you're doing your own bush ups. I'm debating. I have FPV cameras, some cheap ones. I'm debating to put it on to my Turbo Timber or my Scrappy. Just look at how nice that is, man. I really like that. Bush flying all day. Maybe not the tightest of obstacles, but the terrain it could certainly handle. Came in too fast right there. Doing a slower takeoff right there. Trying to land into it or roll into it. Let's see if I could do a nice touch and go since the runway's clear and the weather's not too bad. Let's see if I could do a touch and go with full flaps.
Timer 1 elapsed.
I touched it way over there. It's almost easier to land in the dirt. Cutting it a little close, but that's some awesome performance. All flown on the TX16. You don't need the expensive remotes Horizon Hobby sells, but the planes they sell, they fly really nice with the gyro in them. And that's on 2S. You could even fly it on 3S. Micros are awesome. Thanks for watching. Hope you buy a micro if you don't have one, especially a UMX. They're way better than a lot of other planes, except for one F-22 that I really like so far. Every other plane I've had from China or cheaper has not been anywhere near as impressive as these. Thanks for watching.